Hello, I'm your host Karen Wilson. Welcome to Table Talk. Today's show will give us some updates from the Warren County Animal Control Center and Adoption Center. On the show today we have Mr. Blaine Wilcher. Welcome to the show, Blaine.
Thank you.
And you sit on the
Health and Welfare Committee.
Health and Welfare Committee, which also kind of oversees, I guess, the Animal Control and Adoption Center.
Yes.
And then we have a great partner to the County Commission and the director, I guess, of Hawk, Jan Saylors. Jan, welcome to the show. This is your first time with us.
Yes, it is.
So tell us a little bit about Hawk. I had not heard of that until about a year ago, but it's been around for quite some time.
Well, we've actually been around for about 3 years now, and HAWK is an acronym for Helping Animals of Warren County. And we came into being because we wanted, it was a group of like-minded animal lovers that wanted to be able to help the situation of the animals here in Warren County and to work with the Animal Control Center to really improve the conditions there and to see what we could do to just make things better all around. And how we help the Animal Control and Adoption Center really is we work tandemly with them. If they have a need, for example, they need placemats for the cat enclosures, then we will try and get them some donations of that. Or if they are in a situation where they need food for the animals, then we can put out a fundraiser and try to get the food. So whatever their needs are, we work with them on that. And really what we've been focusing on for probably the last 6 months is really trying to get spay and neuter as a big priority. And because at times their population can kind of mushroom, we want to try and get as many of those animals adopted as possible, so we will sponsor the spay and neuters, and that just makes those animals a little bit easier to be adopted. Or if, for example, they need flea medication, and then we can do a fundraiser to provide flea medication, because during the summertime, well, you know what it's like here, and you get a bunch of animals all in one place, you're going to have a lot of fleas. Right. So we will try and help with that as well. So basically, whatever their needs are, we try and help and either provide it ourselves or find ways to get those things donated.
Okay. So how does that benefit, I guess, the public?
Well, there's things, well, as far as the public goes, we also work with the public on low-cost spay-neuter. So if you have a situation, animal control is never going to be able to take care of the whole population of animals. The secret is, and it's not a secret, you need to get your animals spayed and neutered. That's the way to end the overpopulation of animals here in Warren County. So our goal is to try and work with the public to, one, educate them on the need to do spay and neuter, and to also work with them on ways that we can help them get their animals spayed and neutered. Here in Warren County, there's a lot of different, there's Paul's Clinic, and we have grants, and we have some donations to help with the cost of spay and neuter, primarily for low-cost households, but also for households that may have taken in several animals, or have taken in strays, or have
maybe fostering,
or they might have cats that are more community cats that have come to stay at their house, and they don't mind feeding them. They just don't want the population to explode. So we help with those as well. I mean, so far I think we've helped with over 300 spay and neuters here in Warren County this year. We would like to see that number triple, so that we can try and get as many of the animals spayed and neutered as we possibly can. People don't realize how, one little cat can, in 2 generations you have 20 cats. And we really want to try and work with people to try and get that down to where it's manageable.
Yes, because left to their own devices, there'll be lots of cats.
Yes.
Right.
and then, you know, they don't always get along. So
No.
the fewer of them, the better. So, Blaine, tell us how things are going at the Animal Control and Adoption Center.
Well, you know, there's really two answers to that question. When you look at our population, I think today we have around 128 pets out there. That's not good. That's obviously 128 animals that nobody wants at this point. But on the other hand, things are going really well as far as how our adoption rate continues to be high. We hardly ever have to euthanize an animal out there. And you know, looking at it statewide, we're probably one of the highest adoption rate facilities that are in the state. So things are actually improving a lot. I know just over the last few months, we have started a mandatory spay and neuter policy, not just in general, but for people who bring in puppies or kittens. We are only taking their puppies and their kittens if they allow us to have the mother fixed. Mm-hmm. And that's one way that we can be proactive instead of reactive. Also, we've added an additional room out there that was just a storage room for many years. We've actually cleaned that up and made it actually a nice room for pets and at times a sick room. Recently, some volunteers added a catio out there, which I'd never heard of, but it's exactly what
Sounds fun.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a patio for cats, and they can go out and be outside. And you know, we've done some organization. Our newly elected committee from this past election, we've actually went out there and worked together and did some organization and some cleanup. And you know, we've got our circle drive that we pushed for years to get out there, which helped with our parking situation that really was just terrible and wasn't safe either. And that's helped a whole lot and actually allows more people to be out there at one time without actually cluttering up everything. We have installed security cameras, which, believe it or not, we need because we have had instances where people have been there after hours that didn't need to be. We've got new signage that was donated for in and out. We've got new hours, which have allowed the staff to be able to clean the animals' enclosures and the animals themselves and feed them before the public comes in. You know, a lot of things we take for granted because we don't know what goes on down there. You know, we've had people that have come in and didn't understand why the place wasn't as clean as they thought it would be. Well, we're dealing with 120 plus animals, and so sometimes it can shock a person when they go down there and go into the facility. But thankfully, with our new hours, that's helped a whole lot with that. You know, allowing us to have, for lack of a better word, our best face when they come in.
You have to have time to clean up
Right.
after 128 animals.
Right. And it never, you know, it's a constant thing that they do.
Definitely.
But we've also just recently started working with the county corrections, and they actually have people come down and help us on Wednesdays and Sundays, and that has been so far been a great program. You know, Wednesdays we're closed to the public, and Sundays we're closed to the public. So they allow inmates to come down there and help us do our cleaning and organizing, and it has been beneficial to both them and us. So I think a lot of things are
that's a lot
really
of
happening.
progress. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that you know, there's a lot of, even on the national level, focus on rescuing pets, and it seems like just there's a bigger emphasis on that. Do you think that's helping some?
Yes, I mean, going back to what Jan said, and we talked about it before we started, you know, it all goes back to spay and neuter. I mean, we have to change the mentality that we get stuck in sometimes. You know, we're still a small community, and we have to teach people and educate them on the fact that, yes, that cat may not be yours that showed up, but if you don't address it, if you don't take that cat to animal control or try to find the owner and find out whether or not that cat has been spayed or neutered, there's going to be more, and they may be back on your doorstep. And so education is a big thing. You know, some of the other things that we're going to do going forward, we just approved to have a chipping system. where we'll actually chip the pets that come through animal control, and we'll actually chip them for the public for a fee. And that allows people to track their pet.
Yes,
And,
that's a wonderful thing. People with lost pets sure do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right, right. And, you know, we're working on an outside visiting area where they can take, if they're looking at adopting a dog or a cat, they can take it up and take it into an enclosed area outside and spend some time with it, because it's hard sometimes to know, is this cat going to work for me, or is this dog going to bite me, or but this will allow them to get away in a more comfortable setting and find out if they can connect with that animal.
I was going to ask that. Sometimes you want to be sure that the pet is a good fit for your home. Is there a thing where you can go take it home with you for a weekend, or I could see difficulties with that, but it would be.
Yes and no. We do have foster situations where we're actually allowing people to foster, but as far as taking them home on a trial basis, we don't have that. Now, I know that there have been cases where someone has brought animals back, and if, depending on the situation, we have been able to work with people in the past. A lot of it depends on what our capacity rate is at the time, what we can take in. There have been times when we have actually been over capacity, and we've had to tell everybody we can't take anything else in at this time.
Right.
Due to the fact that we don't like to euthanize any animal.
Right.
So,
Want to avoid that if at all possible.
Right, right.
Well, you've talked a lot about, or mentioned, a lot about spay and neutering. Is there a possibility that we could be looking at that as something mandatory that could be coming for the county, or is that a push that you would like to see move forward?
Well, I am working on something to that effect. Not saying that it would ever happen or not, but I am getting information together to present to our committee, and then of course it would be up to the committee to pass it on to the county commission. I've been talking with people in other larger cities. Memphis is one that I talked to a lady today about their mandatory spay and neuter ordinance that they have in Memphis. Within the first 4 months, you have to have your pet spayed and neutered, or neutered, depending on the case. But and if you're not, then you face fines, and it goes on. They have to do that because of the intake they have. They intake 1,000 plus a month.
Wow.
We intake 100, and some months lower, some months higher. So it's something that I'm interested in, but I'm not going to say that it'll happen, but we are in the discussion with it right now. I do think that it has a whole lot more pros than cons.
Yeah, I could see that being a little bit controversial, but maybe if people would take the time to listen to the different sides of that,
Right.
and to know the benefits to the county as a whole, they might think more positively about it.
Well, the first thing you think of, is how much is that going to cost me? And me being a commissioner, I know that that's one of the first things that me or anyone else thinks of when government is going to do something, is who's going to pay for it, because that's where our tax dollars go. The good thing about this is, and Jan has already been talking to people from Spay, Tennessee, is that there's grants out there. There's ways that we could work it to where it would cost little to nothing for the public to have their animal spayed or neutered. So, we want to have that in the dialogue too, where people understand we're not going to turn around and give you a law and tell you got to pay for it necessarily.
Right.
There's a way that we can work around that, and that's what we want to try to do.
Well, Jan, I know Hawk, it sounds like it takes money to help and all of that.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the fundraising efforts that Hawk has to help raise money for these causes.
Right. Well, it's a constant kind of trying to raise money. There's several different Facebook fundraisers that we've done. We also have a chili dinner that we do every February. That's one of our primary fundraisers at that point. We did a concert last year. We come to a lot of we also work at the Park Theater to do their concessions, and we earn money that way and take in donations. If we go to any, we were like at the Autumn Street Fair, and we'll have donation jars. So donations from the public are one of our biggest sources of funds. There is also a grant that the state of Tennessee has through the Animal Friendly, which is for low-cost spay-neuter, that we have a grant to do that for a certain amount each year. We're always on the lookout for more grants to help with other spay-neuter programs. There are some grants that are available to do some work. We got one grant for the animal control for Wizzy Wash, which is to help with their disinfecting of their, so we got that. We also did the fundraiser to help with putting in the driveway.
Right.
And so there's those things we get, but it's just, here and there and wherever that we can do to get the money. And I have to say, the people of Warren County have responded. If we put something out there that says, hey, we need money to be able to spay and neuter so many pets from animal control, we'll get those donations. But I mean, the more we get, the more animals that we can spay and neuter. And I just wanted to add one thing too to what we were talking about, the overpopulation within the shelter. Is one of the things people really need to think about too is when you get a pet, it's a lifetime commitment. And we're getting so many owner surrenders of animals coming in, and it's just heartbreaking to me because these are animals that have lived in people's homes. They come to the shelter, they're scared. It just is really, hard for them. And
it's a big transition.
It's a big transition. So if you're going to get an animal, make that commitment. Don't think that it's going to be something that I guess what I'm saying is think about it before you get one. If your home situation is not stable and you're thinking you're going to have to move 6 months from now, well, that could be a reason that animal ends up at the shelter, because you end up moving someplace that doesn't accept animals. And spay neuter is another positive there. A lot of times places won't accept animals that haven't been fixed. And if your animal has been spayed or neutered, it's going to increase your ability to be able to move and still keep your pet with you. So please, spay and neuter, but also think about what that pet means to your family, and make sure that you're making the right decision before you go out and get that cute little kitten or the little puppy that is a 15-year commitment.
And I'm sure you have elderly people that may be transitioning themselves to nursing homes and things like that, and want to encourage the public, I guess, to maybe go to the animal shelter first before you consider going to the pet store, something like that. There's probably wonderful pets out there that would love a new home, a new mom or dad.
Well, like the tagline, shop locally, adopt locally.
Right.
We do partner with some of the different rescue groups here in the community, like ARF, which is all about rescue and fixing, and several others, where they will transport a lot of the animals that we have here up north to other rescue groups that really, the population, the overpopulation is not the problem as it is here, because they have spay-neuter laws and licensing laws. But you can't keep exporting your problem. That is a help, but we need to take care of it here. We need to really focus on the spay and neuter.
Right. So other than, we know you always want contributions, both to the Hawk and the animal control and adoption center. How else can just citizens help out? Time? How does
time is always a help. And two, I wanted to make sure that your audience understands that Hawk is a 501c3 charity. So any donations that you make directly to Hawk are tax deductible under the law. But we always need volunteers. I mean, to help down at the animal control, take dogs for walk, cuddle kittens. These are things that people don't really think about, and we want to look at ways that we can, like Blaine said, we've done a lot there to keep it cleaner and to do all these things. It'd be nice to be able to this spring kind of maybe go in there and do some painting of murals, just some things to kind of spruce things up a little bit. And they also need help for photographers to come down on a weekly basis, because if we could take some good pictures of the animals that are there, then we can share those on adoption pages and again, increase the adoption rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wonderful volunteer opportunity for anybody that
Yeah.
loves animals.
Yep.
And if anybody wants to volunteer, or their child is going to Motlow and they need their 8 hours, my kids have done that, they just need to go to Animal Control or call them at 507-3647, and they have all the paperwork there at the shelter. They can do all the paperwork and notarize it and have them certified as a volunteer, and you know, they'll be able to get their community service hours, or they may just want to do it. They may just go down there, and we have volunteers that are there regularly, that's just what they like to do. Our newest employee, actually, that's how she got her start, was being a volunteer. And so we had a part-time position come up, and she was a good fit.
So tell us, where is the animal shelter located
It's
now?
on Paul's Lane. It's right behind the ambulance service.
Okay.
Right next to, I believe, the McMinnville Screw Machine Shop.
Okay.
You can't miss it. There's a sign there with the animals on it, and it's Paul's Lane. You just turn to your right, and you go past Farm Bureau, turn to your right. You can't miss it.
And I would think that there's probably social media pages that people can, if they're kind of in the market for a pet to bring into their home, they can go check out what's out there. And I know, Blaine, you've done a great job over the years at getting those photos out there of pets and things, or potential pets for people.
Right.
So, well, we just thank you both for being here and educating us about this. The spay and neutering issue is something we all need to think a lot more about, even with our own pets. You know, we
Yes.
they tend to, you know, you can't, sometimes they get away from you, and next thing you know, you've got little puppies running around. So if you get them fixed, you just don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. We've got a cat that's being taken tomorrow to be fixed, and he's getting at that age that we have to watch the door, because if he gets out, and you know, it's not going to be good.
Yeah,
So
they're looking for freedom
we're
for just a
watching.
few moments. Well, thank you both, and during this season of giving, we would like to encourage our audience to give, if possible, to these great organizations, or to consider gifting a pet, as long as you've gifted it with the full understanding of what you're taking on. Thank you for coming to Table Talk today, and to learn more about what's going on in our area. We invite you to come back again next week for more Table Talk.